Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. President Andrzej Duda and the First Lady, Agata Kornhauser-Duda, are in Lithuania on an official visit. During their stay, the head of the Polish state will meet Lithuanian officials, establish the Presidential Council of the two countries, and inaugurate the Polish-Lithuanian Economic Forum. The visit of the Polish presidential couple to Lithuania began with a meeting between the heads of state of the two countries, Andrzej Duda and Gitanas Nausėda. According to the head of President Duda's chancellery, Krzysztof Ścierski, the two leaders are to discuss regional security, cooperation under the Three Seas Initiative, the European Union, the situation in Belarus, and cooperation with Ukraine. It will be a visit rich in both content and symbols. These are two very important elements which show the durability of the Polish-Lithuanian relations on the historical and contemporary level, stressed Ścierski. Following the meeting, the signing ceremony of the declaration of the Polish-Lithuanian Presidential Council took place. It is to be an advisory body aimed at strengthening cooperation between the two countries in terms of bilateral cooperation, as well as at the EU and NATO level. The Polish head of state will also meet the newly elected head of parliament, Victoria Smilec-Nielsen, and give a speech during a plenary session, as well as meeting the outgoing Prime Minister, Saulius Skvernelis. Poland and Hungary have vetoed approval of the European Union budget over a clause which ties funding to compliance with the rule of law within the European Union. The package includes €750 billion for a COVID recovery fund. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki had threatened a veto last week, and on Monday, Polish Justice Minister Zbigniew Ziobro said that the rule of law issue was just a pretext. It is really an institutional political enslavement, a radical limitation of sovereignty, he said. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban claimed the rule of law clause jeopardizes trust between member states. Hungary and Poland have long been at loggerheads with the European Union, having been criticized for violating democratic standards enshrined in the European Union's founding treaty, something which both countries deny. Ambassadors of the 27 member states meeting in Brussels were unable to endorse the budget because Hungary and Poland vetoed it. The European Union is currently investigating both countries for allegedly undermining the independence of courts, media and non-governmental organisations. The clause linking future funds to the rule of law threatens to cost each country billions of euros in EU funding. European Union states had already agreed on the €1.1 trillion budget for 2021 to 2027 and the coronavirus stimulus package after a marathon four-day summit in July. The ambassadors had voted through the clause that made access to European Union funds conditional on adherence to the rule of law because this only required a qualified majority, the German EU presidency said. But the budget and rescue package needed unanimous support and were then blocked by Poland and Hungary. Romanian Prime Minister Ludovic Orban said that the rule of law clause was an important protection to ensure taxpayers' money is spent in a just and effective manner. He called on EU states to work together, adding, "We need to refocus and get this agreement done." German Ambassador Michael Klaus, who chaired the meeting, warned that the EU would face a serious crisis if the financial package were not quickly adopted. This impasse will be debated by EU European Affairs ministers on Tuesday and by EU leaders in a video conference on Thursday. However, officials say a solution might take longer to find. The proposal to link the two matters is not in keeping with EU treaties, and the Portuguese presidency, which takes over from the German presidency on 1st of January, seems unlikely to press the issue. Today, the Polish Ministry of Health reported 19,152 new coronavirus infections in the country, which is 1,000 fewer than yesterday. Unfortunately, the health department has reported a high death toll as 357 more people have died of COVID-19 and coexisting diseases. The total number of deaths reported in the country since the beginning of the epidemic has risen to nearly 11,000. The highest number of new coronavirus infections, that is over 2,400, was reported in the Silesian Voivodeship, and the lowest, almost 1,100, in the Łódź Voivodeship. The Polish government is to take a decision on the introduction of a second lockdown, however. Due to the drop in the daily number of new coronavirus cases, this will not be necessary. Today, during a press conference, the head of the Chancellery of the Prime Minister, Michał Dworczyk, and Health Minister Adam Niedzielski thanked citizens for their patience and compliance with the restrictions.
To, proszę Państwa, oczywiście jest z jednej strony...
Ladies and gentlemen, On the one hand, this is the result of the decisions made by the government in the past few weeks. As it turns out, these restrictions and decisions, which were very difficult for many people, maybe even for everyone, are working out. No government's decision would work out if it weren't for the responsible behaviour and self-discipline of Polish citizens. The situation is stabilising in many different dimensions, but the most important one for the health minister is the daily number of new infections and the occupancy in the hospital infrastructure. Today, the daily number of new cases dropped to below 20,000 for the first time in 2 weeks, which is an optimistic signal. Law and Justice, the party that has been ruling Poland since 2015 and which won a second consecutive term in the same 12 months ago, today stood on the brink of losing its majority. The party management held an emergency meeting tonight and, according to reports, the crisis is already over. The reason was the prolonged suspension of the party's 15 MPs who voted against the so-called Five for Animals bill. The bill was to prohibit the breeding of animals for fur in Poland and minimise ritual slaughter. At the time of the parliamentary vote, this legal provision lowered the price of farm animals to a minimum. It also influenced the business plans of Polish farmers. However, the aim was to win young voters from big cities and end the crisis in the ruling coalition. Therefore, discipline was introduced during the vote. The 15 MPs who opposed the party leadership were promptly suspended. Unfortunately, the adoption of the law by Parliament triggered protests from farmers, Law and Justice voters, and a significant drop in the party's ratings. As a result, the law did not enter into force, but deputies still suspended the rights of peace members. Today, 2 MPs announced their departure from the party. The majority in Parliament depends on 4 votes, so party authorities have reinstated all those suspended. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.